Hello, welcome to another week of the FPV Podcast. Today we have another special guest, and it's going to be our first female guest for the podcast, which is awesome because we definitely don't get enough representation from the female side. I'll go ahead and introduce her. Zoe, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, I'm Zoe. I'm based out of Santa Cruz, California, and I am a 3D freestyling freak. I don't know where to go from there.
That's a good start, and hey, you know what? Freestyling is a lot of fun. Elvan, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Elvan Wilson. I'm Team Pulse, Team Heli Direct, Team Aerial Freaks, and look out! There's a new company looking for Furious FPV. They're doing sub 200 size frames. Look out! I'll be getting one of those soon.
Cool.
Hello.
Yep. Hey Zoe, do you have any sponsors on your side?
Where do I begin? I mean, I have a few. I feel like the main one I want to plug right now. Well, there's a few that I want to plug, but
Go for it.
I've just helped co-design a frame with a friend out here in Santa Cruz, California, called the Twitch 109. It's a 109 millimeter frame that has 3-inch prop support, the smallest possible 3-inch build you can get. It's a true X design. It has easily tiltable camera mount. It hauls ass. I don't know if I can say that.
Yes.
Okay, good. So yeah, it's a neat little frame. It's from uniquefpv.com, the Twitch 109. We're getting a build video of it out soon. But as far as that sponsor goes, that's kind of my own thing. Like, that's the first frame that I've had direct input on.
Nice.
And has been developed because of my direct feedback.
Awesome.
And that thing is near indestructible because of me. Like,
See, I like that idea.
Hey.
Like, we take this thing down to the parking garage, and it just bounces off the concrete.
Nice.
That's good.
We designed the camera mount and the whole top plate to be out of Ninja Flex, so it absorbs an impact and it never breaks. And yeah, I think we're actually going to be lifetime warranting the frames,
Awesome.
just because I have not found a fault in them.
Any idea on price point?
The frame right now is pretty premium. It's a carbon fibers from here in California, and it's cut in Portland, Oregon, actually. And it's about $40 right now for just the frame.
No, it's not bad.
It's not too bad, but I mean, you know, it's a 109 frame. It's basically a micro. That being said, I've paid $40 for micro frames before. They get up there.
I've seen some $80 ones.
I wouldn't be surprised. I actually, what $80 ones? I don't even want to know.
What else you got?
So as far as other sponsors go, that's my own thing. And then I have a few sponsors that are supporting the 3D stuff that I'm doing right now. A big one is Bullet Drones out of Japan, and Sean. He's been helping me get a lot of gear needed just to trash. And then Flyduino. I got Flyduino behind me, so they're one of my
awesome.
sponsors. And then I'm in talks with Tattoo right now for them to become my battery sponsor. So it's sponsors, and then it's Fat Shark, of course, is one of my main sponsers too.
Right.
She's hooked up.
Oh, hell.
Yeah, except none of them cover travel. So like, I'm hooked up as far as gear goes. But I can't get out of Santa Cruz worth a damn right now, and it's kind of killing me.
It's time for you to invest in an RV. I don't know.
I don't know. I've been trying a few different things, and hopefully something's going to click here. I know there's a few TV shows coming up that are trying to get me on board.
Awesome.
So hopefully there'll be some travel and some glitz and glamour.
Cool.
Well, you've been down to Disney, right? You know, you got to sign up with those guys. You got to go show up with those guys. Go ahead.
Go on. It's just weird because, like, I mean, right now it's pretty easy to get equipment, but getting sponsors to cover travel to events and whatnot, that's still kind of hard. I mean, even for the best of them.
Right.
So it's weird. I mean, 6 months ago, I mean, I had a giant issue with sponsorship where I actually turned down a contract sponsorship because it would have limited stuff that I was doing. But and it was mainly because I was passionate about the 3D flying that I was doing, which I can't wait to talk about.
Don't worry, I'm sure.
Let me convert your audience. Let's all go to the inverted side.
Right.
I've thought about building one actually, but let's save that, and Yvonne can hold his enthusiasm for just like another 10 minutes. So like,
I don't know if I can.
Okay, so like before we actually do that, like why don't you like give us a little background on like how you got into RC, FPV, freestyle? Like what's your story?
Yeah, so let's see, it's been almost 2 years. About a year and a half, like early last summer, before last summer. A friend of mine, okay, I should back up a little bit. I had major medical complications that kept me bedbound for a large portion of my time. And those medical complications kept me in bed. I couldn't do what I would normally do. And I got really depressed, couldn't ride my motorcycle. And then a friend suggested I go try to find a new hobby. And I ended up at a really cool local hobby shop, Capitol Hobbies, if there's any locals. And they had this really neat micro, I think it was a Cheerson CX-10, but it was, no. It was the ST's Proto X.
Oh, okay.
At the time, it was the world's smallest drone at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have like a lot of money to spend, and I wanted to get into like RC, but I wasn't really sure about it. And I've always been a geek, so I got this little micro drone. I think I tossed it into the ceiling a whole bunch of times the first day, but after like 3 days, I mastered it, and I was wanting more, and I ended up going to the Nano QX. Which is a great platform. I really recommend that because it has the acro mode, so you can turn off the self-stabilization. And then from there, like literally a week later, I went on to the 180 QX because I wanted something bigger. And then I started seeing the FPV videos online of everybody doing the cool tricks. And then I saw Blackout and what they were doing with FPV, and I saw the spider hex from Blackout, and I fell in love with the design. I was like, I need to have that. Like, it does not get cooler than a freaking spider hex. Like,
it is a cool design,
It's a nice shit.
you know, like if I rolled up to a field with a quadcopter, I thought people would be like, oh, she doesn't know how to fly. But I feel like if I rolled up the hexacopter, I'd be like, wow, what the hell? Like,
oh,
look out! Like, so yeah. So I ended up going with the spider hex design. I didn't like the bulky brick looking quads because like the Blackout like mini H quad is total brick. It is just a flying brick. The spider hex had a little bit of a curve to it, so I was definitely interested in it. So your first venture into FPV was overpowered hex content. Yeah. So I was like, "What, we gotta do it? F it, let's do it right."
Yeah.
That's a complicated beast too. It's like but
yeah. So it's actually a funny story. When I was, I had issues getting the motors to stay in sync. So every once in a while, the motors would lose sync and it would drop out of the sky, and so I was having surgery, and I had the actual hexacopter in my room to tinker on while I was recovering. And I ended up fixing it in the hospital.
What?
And, I fixed that shit in the hospital. Like, you should have seen the nurse's face when they walked in on that thing at full power doing a throttle test. Like, they were like, oh, it sounds like a pack of drills going off in here. I was like, yeah.
She's turned on a chainsaw. What's going on?
Yeah,
do surgery on somebody else.
Now, if you push the call button, it takes a couple of minutes, but if you turn that on, it only takes a few seconds.
So
kind of like that. If you call the police, it take them 25 minutes. But if you call them and hang up, they'll be there in 6.
Right. It was, yeah. So that was my first foray, and then after that, like during rehab, back when I could only stand up for a few minutes at a time, I went to the park. I stood up against a tree, and I maidened that thing in one of my local parks, and that was addiction ever since. And that got me. That was like rehab. Like I would go out to the park, I would stand up, like get out and move, and I'd fly a couple batteries like as far as I could, and then I'd go home and do it the next day. And there was no competitions at that point in time when I got into it. It was all people online having fun, and I don't even think really anybody had posted racing footage at that point. It was just freestyle in a park.
Right. Everybody, I remember that. Pretty much everybody was just doing their thing on their own, and not much gatherings were going on. There was a lot of flying individual and maybe 1 or 2 guys together, but not really. Mostly guys was just flying together. They wasn't racing, right?
Yeah. So I gotta ask. So was Sharpoo the one that turned you on to freestyle?
I mean, I think I always looked at Sharpoo as like a level to beat. I don't think he's the one that turned me on to freestyle. I think it was probably a combination of Blackout and then Quad Mover.
Quad Mover? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like he was doing insane stuff line of sight, and I was like, that's cool.
Okay. No, I've had so many people that say Sharpoo was the one that turned him. Like I am one of them, right? The reason why I got into it is like I saw his videos. But that's cool.
I was into it before Sharpoo was a thing. I mean, I wasn't like doing big stunts, but like I was pre-Sharpoo. I mean, Blackout seriously was like ground zero for me, and then Flight Test. Like I watched Flight Test religiously, like for hours and hours on end while I was recovering, just to learn all the different little things this hobby has to offer. And cool. Yeah, so I'd say Flight Test got me into RC and got me into soldering, and then RC model reviews really got me into. I love him. He's epic when he does his reviews. He's always on point. Has tons of tech info, and it was a combination of like Blackout, Flight Test, and RC model reviews. That was my main everyday watching when I was starting out.
Don't anybody remember Warthawks?
Mm-mm.
A little bit. I mean, that was around the time I was getting into it.
But is it like See, to me, like, I mean, not to get totally off track, but like Warthawks is like
it's legend.
Yeah, he's like the godfather. Like he would be the godfather of 3D, of aerobatic quadcopter flying. Even if he did only line of sight, the stuff he could do would make your mind go, what is it? Wait. But
man, I gotta look that up.
The quad mover. See, every time somebody says quad mover, I think before him were Warthawks, and Warthawks is like, isn't Warthawks like the main guy behind Flydrino?
I thought that was somebody else. Like I know their account. I just can't remember the name right now.
I thought that's what it was, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's been a while,
I always thought they were associated with the warp quads, the Soma and stuff.
Well, yep, don't remember.
Well, I know the Kiss is from them, so Warthawks and all of that's his company, I believe. Kiss.
And let me on the topic of Kiss, let me just say, for 3D, that is the way to go right now. Like it takes all of a minute to enable it, and you can set that stuff up on a switch. So you can turn 3D off and have conventional throttle, and turn it on and have the neutral throttle and center, and the inverted thrust, which is really, really nifty.
Yeah. All right, Elvan, go.
See,
I'll let you.
So here we go.
You're in trouble, Zoe.
Yes,
This is it.
yes. I'm ready. Throw them at me.
My sister. I must say this in the beginning. Much respect. Going to Drone Nationals. It was an honor to compete with you.
Likewise.
Much respect. And you know, when I lost to you in that one race because I didn't finish, I got harassed. I got back to the pit. Oh yeah, I got back to the pit, and my homies, my friends, my true buddies, the ones that would come and catch you at the airport and pick you up, or if your car broke down, come and get you. They were wrong on me. They was like, you got beat by a girl, homie. Get out, go sit over there in the corner. You got beat by a girl, you know. And I was like, but it's the queen. It's the queen. You can't come here and you can get beat by the queen, dude. You know, and they were like, oh, we don't care. You got beat. We would have got beat too, but you got beat. I took a lot.
It's a funny story. Like, I can see that. I mean, I think it's like, I'm the fastest local flyer, like outright. So
yeah.
Flying faster than like the guys is just kind of normal for me. That being said, I think there's some amazing competition out there and some amazing flyers. Like, I've been really inspired by Marty Flies and Matty Stunts.
Matty Stunts, yeah.
Matty Stunts. Oh my shit. Like, his camera tilt, like, he's doing stuff with the camera tilt where I'm doing stuff with 3D. I want to combine the two of these things.
See, I saw that.
Like, it's just mind-bending with that kind of camera tilt and what you can do with it. And it's like, he posted a description, like, this is not 3D. I'm like, he gets those questions. Like, he gets those questions, which is amazing. So I think, like, I'm sorry to go off on a tangent, but I've been really inspired by him lately. And Banny UK, oh my God, he's an amazing little pilot.
Oh yeah, the kid just. What do you think about that? I mean, we're gonna talk about 3D, but what do you think about the kids? I mean, we just had an onpouring of young, you know, less than 18-year-old kids. Parents, you know, come out here and fund these kids. $1,000 quadcopter radio setup, you know, and these kids come out there and they're competitive right out the bat.
Oh,
right.
You know? It's not
really
about what they got. It's about what they know.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's really neat is that I've, like, right before Drone Nationals, I taught a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old how to fly and build a quadcopter. And the 13-year-old picked it up instantly. Like, he was doing barrel rolls and backflips within his first couple batteries.
Nice.
And it's this kind of thing where I'm kind of jealous.
Yes.
They have all the support, and then they have the brain that's just malleable, that just eats all of that up, you know?
Right.
Like, they absorb it, and then they extrapolate, and they create something new. And I honestly think we're all dinosaurs at this point.
Or getting there.
Yeah.
I mean, close. Like,
there's some kids out there. I mean, there's some exceptional. First, let's just say this: with the onslaught of how everything is today, right? We're entering that plug and play age, right? I mean, soon. Right. You'll go to the store and you'll say, okay, I need a cube, like the cube, right? The cube, you buy the cube, you set it up on the quadcopter, you hook it up to your motors, you tell it how you want it to run your motors, right? And that's coming on a full-on everyday basis for almost everything out there. There'll be a group of stuff designed to run with the rest of it, right? That's where we're getting the multi-shot. right? Supposedly that's what the multi-shot is supposed to be, right? The cure-all for all motors, all speed controls, everybody run as hard as they can, and it kind of tweaks itself. So I think that right now we're getting close to that plug and play, and it's getting easier for guys to come out as a noob and be competitive, have some skill and be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think.
Well, and it's also. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I just think they're quick learners. I mean, like they're in that environment when they have that support structure in which they just have the time and their brains ready to soak in all that information. It's crazy. Like,
yeah, and it's open too, man. It's
and a lot of them have
before.
grown up playing video games. I mean,
right.
I grew up, my first time I was playing video games, I think this has a lot to do with it, is back when I was 4. That was the first time I picked up a controller. So I'm conditioned to play games, and I'm kind of conditioned to fly FPV. And a lot of these kids are going the same way. They're picking up a 360 controller or an Xbox One controller. God, I just aged myself. I am so out of the loop on consoles. I'm a PC gamer.
It's okay.
Yeah, hey,
but you're close.
But yeah, they pick up on everything so quickly. It's just it's natural to them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because this could be the first hobby and sport that not only pushes their technical knowledge, but also pushes their skill level too. So it's fun to fly. You also have that part where building the quadcopter becomes a STEM activity.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a lot of STEM activities that kids these days can get into that they want to get into, and that's fun.
Yeah, who wants a telescope today? I mean, you can go online and look at all over the galaxies.
Yeah, I mean, I can stick my phone out and look at the galaxies through a viewer app. But that's kind of the thing. It's just I grew up watching BattleBots and Robot Wars and stuff, and I wanted my own robot. So and I've got one now, and I built them, which is more fun. It's I kind of can't believe it sometimes that I'm building robots and flying them around, but it's fun. And I think that's the thing is that it's one of the few STEM activities that kids can do that can be fun, but it's a little cost prohibitive.
It is. I actually run a STEM shop at the middle school here. Actually, middle school? No, elementary, somewhere in there. And we try to provide the most cost effective kits for their STEM activities, and you get down to the price point of sub 300s, and the equipment just doesn't last. And it's because they're a bunch of kids, they use it hard and hard use equipment. And it's but you try to jump it up to where you get durable stuff, the school systems can't support it, and it's a hard line right now. But you are right, the kids love this stuff. They just attach on. It's I don't know, electronics and kids they blend right now. It's something in the food. I don't know.
It's something on the internet.
It's cool too, that's the other thing. We got that. It's that cool. It's in the news. It's always in the news. Kids like to be defiant, right? I mean, look at our parents, my parents, 60s parents. They were defiant, and so were we. Growing up behind them. So kids are defiant. They like to do what's cool, and that's what's going on. But hey, I got a question about 3D.
Here we go.
I got a question about 3D. So so what a lot of guys don't understand is that what you do is actually the true 3D, where that
legitimately,
legitimate, that you can do with a quadcopter without buying a, what is that, Stinger 500 or whatever it is with the reversible
Stingray 500.
Yeah, Stingray. Yeah. Without buying that, there's only one way to really do it with a quad, or a hex. You can do it with a hex too, and a tricopter. But it's reversible props where the motors spin opposite direction. It changes direction depending on where the throttle stick is. Just quite like collective pitch on a single rotor helicopter, right? Very similar to that.
That's how I learned. I was doing simulators for collective pitch helicopters. Yeah, that's how I figured out the stick movements. Was I did simulators for those 3D helis.
See, I tell you people to see simulators. See, this is the queen, y'all. Y'all gotta listen. See,
hey, I didn't
use the simulators, man.
Well, I mean, at the time, I had no access to 3D helicopters. Like, it was something I thought was really cool, and I noticed how like helicopters came into the mainstream within the RC community. Mm-hmm. And then 3D helis came along, and people were like, well, that's kind of stupid. But then it got better. People started doing really cool stunts with it, and it caught on. And then we have the freestyle 3D helis that we have today.
Right.
So
Goblins,
what was the question?
Synergies.
Goblin 500, yeah.
So, okay. Sorry, I'm going to interject with one question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I am a total 3D noob when it comes to quads. How do you, what's the thought process of plugging in, taking off, and then going into 3D? Like, how do you do that? Is there a because, literally, I don't know.
Okay, so I called it initially my astronaut training because I had to get myself used to being inverted. Because I think naturally as humans, when we're inverted, our brains go, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
I should be right side up. like we have this natural fight against it. So the first thing was trying to get over that, which basically was me just going straight up into the air and then inverting and just trying to stay inverted as long as possible. So super boring. It was basically like becoming a newbie all over again, because I had to relearn everything for it. And so that's a really good question. Like, what is your thought process? And I guess it's kind of like, F you gravity, I can do that. I can turn upside down. I guess that's it's as simple as that. And after a while, and this is the thing that I think that has gotten me to be more fluent and more comfortable with 3D, is that I fly entire batteries while inverted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll just pop up into the air.
I might get sick.
It's just a training thought, right? I mean, really, it's just a trainable thought. Like, okay, so here's something that I would suggest, that if you think you're thinking about going inverted, right? Think about trying to walk a straight line while you fly your quadcopter around you FPV.
Basically.
It's almost impossible to do without teaching yourself how to walk in a straight line and fly around yourself. I mean, you'll find yourself on one side of the field you didn't expect to be on. You know,
right.
But it's something that you can train yourself. It just takes practice, right?
Yeah,
it takes a lot of practice.
It has to. So do you do any camera pitch when you do this, or do you just keep it straight then? It's
okay. When you start out, I definitely recommend not having any camera pitch, because that will throw you off. But that's the same way when you start out with regular FPV. I recommend not having camera pitch.
True.
And I feel like this is the same parallel. And then, but personally, I fly with a good 30 to 45 degree angle with my camera at any given time. So when I go inverted, you're looking at the ground for the good part. So what I've had to do is go to a 2.1 millimeter lens, which is super wide field of view. And that gives me the ability to keep my horizon while inverted. So the extra periphery from that field of view really gives you the stuff you need to navigate while inverted.
Right.
Okay.
So it's really complicated. It's really, really, really complicated.
I was about to say, I'm not sure if I want to try. I will eventually.
What I was getting to is like I was flying and then I was doing cool stunts over trees and I was like starting to plateau. Like I was like, okay, I can knife edge through a tree, but what more can I do? There's the power loops. There's only so many things you can do and master, I think, with a conventional quad.
Well, we were talking about that. That the repertoire or maneuver list is small.
Right. And with 3D, with 3D, you basically double or triple it because you can do crazy crap where you couldn't do otherwise. Like, and the thing is, it's totally skill limit based because when I started out, I was like a complete noob again, and I wouldn't say I've mastered it yet. That's the cool thing. Like, there's still the skill ceiling that every flight that I go out and fly, I get a little better. I do something a little smoother. I'm able to hold the line while inverted while going through a corner better. There's a lot of those little things that you end up learning, and it takes so much practice, so much practice.
Well, they say some guys are going through 50 packs a day now,
Holy cow.
Yeah, I mean, I can run through a good 20 packs. I carry 30 packs with me on any given day.
I tried to do 100 flights in one day by myself, man.
Geez.
That was I didn't come outside for like 3 days after that.
He was burnt out.
I can imagine.
I was like, my wife was like, she's like, I thought she was going flying with so and so and so. I'm like, I don't give a damn about them. I'm done. I don't want to look at a radio for at least 24 hours. I don't want to. I was looking at chargers and batteries. That's all I was doing. Just
And see, for me, like I can burn 20 batteries for 3 days in a row, but after 3 days, my brain just needs a break.
Right.
So I generally try to do it every couple days. It's like every other day I get out to the field. But yeah, 50 batteries a day. Who the hell's flying 50 batteries a day?
Man.
That's what I heard. There's guys out there right now trying to move up, doing 30 to 50 batteries a day, packs a day, and it may not be, 50 packs, but it might be 20 packs, 2 or 3 times a day. And that can be done because I've done 18 packs, 3 charges. So 18 battery packs, three complete charges in one day. So
that's a lot of time commitment. But no, I hear racers do 30, 40 packs to, and they're like all they practice are gates and, speed, which, like I think everybody sees it now, right? The ceiling for what's considered competitive, like every event, it's climbing. It's a little bit higher. It's a little bit higher. Sometimes it's not necessarily they're faster because like some of the courses are ridiculously challenging as is.
Yeah.
It's like so like even newbies can't even get around the track once. But,
right.
But like so okay, I'll get into racing a little bit later. Yvonne, what other 3D stuff you got?
Okay, so now, we talked a little bit about how to prop reverse. We talked about a little bit about having a proper camera angle. What if you had to set up? If you could pick a setup to build today to be competitive.
Do you want me to make my sponsors angry?
No. That's not it. No. Okay. So like the other day, I was eavesdropping on your post on Facebook, right?
Okay.
And I have the time, so I read your Facebook posts. I read Maddie's Facebook. I read everybody's. Because
I know someone reads it.
Yeah, I figure you wrote it for a reason. So, Anyway, but I saw you were discussing with someone about a ship, building a particular 3D ship that was
Right.
capable of. You gave out a lot of information, and I
It was
just
like
want
a
to touch
quick start
base on.
guide.
Yeah, it was like it was a great quick step guide to what type of type of motors, and you gave. It wasn't really the fact that you were talking about what the products were. It was what you were talking about. You were saying like the 1806 motors are great motors to start off with because
Hmm.
they're cheap, they're small, they're lightweight, they produce a lot of power for what they
Oh
are,
yeah.
right? Which is
I mean,
what we
I've
can
got
all
some
agree on.
1806s right now that do 700 grams of thrust.
See, that's that's great
Pretty
torque,
adequate.
right?
Hey, for a
Especially like a
beginner, yeah.
180, you know.
Oh yeah, that's totally what it's on too.
Sound like a 6-inch prop.
No, not on the 180. Not on the 180.
Yeah, no, it's a 2900 kV 1806. That's what I'm playing with right now. Um, but yeah, so with 3D, there's like motors are a big deal because the smaller the motor, the less mass you have on the motor, which means the less torque you have when you try to reverse the motor. So every time you go to invert, your quadcopter has to completely stop the motor and then get it going in the opposite direction. So for a very brief moment in time, your quadcopter is in free fall,
Right.
which if everyone knows, free fall is not good for a quadcopter because it looks jerky and it's not smooth. So the trick is with 3D is that the hardest part has been minimizing that instance between where you transition between throttle ranges from inverted to verted or regular to inverted and back and forth. And the 1806 motors, because they're smaller, it's easier for them to swing a lighter prop and actually change directions a lot faster. The issue is it's an 1806. It's an 1806 motor, so you have like no torque.
Right.
And with 3D, I like torque. Like I like a torquey machine, something that can pop up to full throttle instantly is nice. So you have like the 2208, which I love the 2208s. I have a set of 2208s on my Zool, and my Zool is one of my favorite setups. Wink, 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 super wink. Like
Sponsor spot.
Yeah. So hover. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Hovership gave me a whole bunch of frames.
Nice.
So like, and I say why I like the Zool is because it has a great center of gravity. So when you go inverted, stuff doesn't get out of whack, and the arms fold in. So when you crash, and you're going to crash,
everybody crashes.
at least your machine is mostly okay. And the Racehound setup has been like bulletproof for me. I've been able to abuse that machine more so than any others in my fleet. So for a 3D machine, I'd recommend something that's durable more than anything else, and that's why I'd say like a Zool. But again, with the motors, the Zool I have 2208s on it, and the torque from the 2208s is insane. Like you can get up to full throttle with a 6-inch prop pretty quickly. And the issue is that the motors are bigger, and this is like basic quadcopter 101. In order to change your yaw, 2 of the motors spin up and 2 of the motors spin down.
Sure.
And the torque within the machine causes it to change direction, right? When you're inverting, you have all that torque in the motors, all that spinning mass that you have to get to zero at the same time with all the other motors at the exact same moment, and then you have to invert them and go full throttle the other way. That is really freaking hard to do. Like that is something I do not envy about like Flyduino, is because they make stuff that works that way. Like it just
Hey,
Well,
What?
in the beginning, you know, like when guys first started flying 3D, and then we started reversing props first, the hesitation, you know, if you, it was like almost like a second and a half pause between going
Hmm.
from one direction to the other. So if
That's
you,
active braking. You need
right,
really,
right,
really
right.
good active braking. And that's like the biggest thing with any ESC. Like you can 3D, I believe, any BL heli machine and KISS machine at this point. If you have a 30 amp KISS machine, a 24 amp KISS machine, you can 3D those machines without any extra hardware setup. And if you have a BL heli setup, if you have really strong active braking, you can have like the performance of KISS DSCs on the BL heli and the open source side. So like the little B ESCs are really popular. At least they were.
This
You can
week,
3D those. It's like the ESC of the week.
yeah.
You have the XM20s, which are the X-Rotor 20s miniaturized. Those work pretty okay. Groniper has a new ESC out for their 3D multi-rotor, by the way.
That's
If
funny because
anyone...
I was brought up calling that Gropner.
Gropner?
Yeah.
Gropner? Groniper? I don't know. It's a German company.
Yes, it is.
Who, by the way, snubbed me. I tried to get my
Really?
hands on one of their 3D multi-rotors, the Alpha Q300, and they never got back to me. I was kind of heartbroken.
Maybe they just didn't know, Zoe. Maybe they just didn't know.
I was about to say.
Maybe they didn't know. I don't know. But if anyone from them is listening, please get a hold of me because I'd really like to play with that machine.
Actually, I think I saw Flight Test do an intro of that machine. That machine looks really badass, but that's a scary machine, though. I put that in the scary category.
Well, I that thing's got about the same kind of power that the Zool that I have set up has. Because the Zool's got the 6-inch props, 6x4.5 bullnose props, and it's really torquey. And it's got the giant 2208 motors. So it's about the same size. I mean, I think that's a 300 and my Zool is a 285. So they're about the same size class. And I've got the Rotor Geek 20 amps, by the way. If you like BL Heli and you want a 3D, the Rotor Geek 20 amps are like legit. Go that way. Because the one thing people don't really know about with 3D is that it uses like 3 times the amount of amperage that you would normally use when you transition throttle ranges.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So
yeah,
there's massive amounts of amp spikes when you 3D.
Wow.
Like, you kill batteries. If you TikTok,
I was about to say, shoo, yeah.
If you're TikToking, which is just going back and forth on the throttle range, like, I have brand new batteries that end up dying within just 15 seconds of doing that because it's just the amp draw is so massive, it just can't handle it.
Well, speaking of that, do you like one thing about active braking that people don't understand is that it's tough on your motors because like it's trying to wind down a motor, it generates a lot of heat. Do you go through a lot of motors as well?
Only the crashes.
all to the crashes.
Always the crashes. Like I think if anything, it's the ESCs that have the hardest time with it.
Okay.
Because the ESCs have to amp spike. Like if you're running like a regular 20 amp setup, and if you're flying at any given point in time, and you're already at the 20 amps, and if you 3D your machine, that ESC is going to destroy itself sooner or later.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I have a pile of ESCs that I went through trying to get this to work.
So I'm a pretty big KISS fan. Like, how many of those have you destroyed going through 3D?
None.
Really?
They've been, well, see, the cool thing with the KISS ESCs is that they have protection on them for temperature protection and like overamp protection or whatever. So if you hit it too hard, at least the 24 amps, in my experience, they'll throttle back. And And as long as you have good airflow, if you're not shoving it into a carbon fiber tube like one of my other machines, you're not going to have a problem.
That's good to know. Although they're expensive ESCs, though. You destroy those, you're going to feel it in your pocket.
Let's just say I'm thankful that Arduino has sent me some to play with.
See, everybody knows. And they're hard to find, too. It's ridiculous right now. It's like people come to me, it's like, hey, do you have these? It's like get in line. There's like 100 people that are there.
And then like I'm like
sticking with
promoting
my
them.
tried and true Afros. They've been holding up on me.
So with 3D, if you have the space for it on your machine, go for the 30 amp KISS ESCs. Just because the extra headroom within the ESC for having the higher amps just gives you more leeway and it's less abuse on the ESC. Because you will abuse your ESCs doing 3D. I've cooked my ESCs in competitions. At Drone Nationals, my ESCs gave out because of overheating.
We had that issue.
A lot of people had that issue.
Because it was 15 degrees outside.
Well, I mean, and that was when I was flying with 30 amp ESCs, though. That was with the big honking, like, should take it. But, yeah, but that was the DYS 30 amp ESC that was kind of meh anyways. But, yeah, that's why I like the rotor geek.
It wasn't that in. I remember paying $18 for a piece for a set,
Wow.
YS's. And then like a month later, you couldn't get rid of them.
Right.
Hey,
I mean, I've got like 10 of them laying around right now. Like that still work. So yeah, those ESCs sucked when it came to 3D because the active braking on them, they were like first generation active braking DL Heli ESCs. Like it was just something that people were starting to do, and they were so small that they didn't really have the amp gate, like the MOSFETs weren't like big enough to really handle the amp spikes for active braking, so it was kind of slow. So that's what I really recommend. If you're going to 3D, go oversized. Get like the Rotor Geeks 20 amps, just because they're like 30 amp ESCs that have been derated to 20 amps. And the KISS 30 amps, because KISS ESCs are generally what they're rated for. You don't like to push them past their rating. If you do that, bad things happen.
Bad stuff happens. Like small little fires on quadcopters.
Yeah, they have a reputation for that. But
yeah, they do. It's gotten better though. I think.
Oh yeah, it has.
Still happens. It still happens.
No, I mean, no, I'm not trashing them, because I don't want nobody to think that I'm trashing them. Because there's been a many ESCs over the many years that just sporadically just caught on fire. People are standing around going, I don't know what I did wrong. But
right.
It was just its time. It said it gave up.
It's so yeah. ESCs are it's a hard thing to nail down because like I'm a fan of KISS ESCs, and I should say Arduino out of all of my sponsors is very minor. Like they didn't give me a pile of ESCs. I got 4 ESCs and a flight controller.
Yeah. So
I've been plugging them because I really like them. That's why I'm giving them so much love.
Cool. So like quick hit on us. Did you get their new flight controller? The KISS one? What do you think of it? I've heard mixed reviews all over the place, so I don't know what to have. I haven't gotten a chance to fly it, so I don't know anything about it.
I honestly, I got it working within a day, and I stole Mr. Steele's tune, and it flies. And by the way, that's a call out to Mr. Steele. He can freaking enable 3D on his machine anytime he wants. He just chooses not to.
He just doesn't want to. So
I love him.
So what flight controllers do you recommend, or will any do?
On my recommended list for speed control, you said speed controllers, right?
Oh no, sorry,
Flight
flight
control.
controllers, flight controllers.
Flight controllers.
We know you recommend Kiss, but like we know.
And Rotor Geek.
Rotor Geek. Yep, she does.
And
I
for
can
flight
vouch for
controllers,
Rotor Geek sponsor tap because anytime I ask her about something, she goes, "Go to Rotor Geek. Go to Rotor Geek."
it's a good ESC. But anyways, for flight controllers, I'm really digging the KISS flight controller so far. As far as setup, it's pretty simple. I mean, like 3D setup, it took me all of 60 seconds to enable it. With the other flight controllers right now, I'm actually really impressed with RC Timer's B rotor flight controller, the BF3, I think.
Okay.
It has built-in 8 megabytes of flash. It's an F3, so it's not F4. It can only do 4 kilohertz. It can't do 8 kilohertz yet for the gyro because it doesn't have the SDI bus on it. But it has a built-in OSD, and it pairs up with a power distribution board that has built-in current sensor. So you have like full-on OSD overlay with everything you need in 2 boards. Super clean, really easy to use. So yeah, I've been using that lately. I'm tinkering with it.
Awesome.
But I don't know, anything that runs Betaflight.
Anything that runs. So you basically anything that runs Betaflight, you're okay with, and probably what are you saying like minimum F3 or you can go all the way down?
F1 board, like seriously, anything that runs Betaflight. Like Boris has been doing so many optimizations on the F1 processors and the architecture that the flight differences between like 4 and 1 kilohertz is not as drastic as if you're going from like a loop time of 3,500 to 1,000.
Right. It doesn't seem that way.
It doesn't. I mean, things get smoother, stuff gets way easier to tune. But to the average pilot, I don't think there's like that much meat on the bone for going that really high end with at least with the flight controllers. Now, that being said, I'm very excited for the F4 flight controllers coming out, just because they can hit, 8 kilohertz real easy. I think there's some crazier speeds they're trying to do now, like 16 or something.
12. Yeah, 12 is holding and 16 is on a few boards.
Okay, so just let me interject real quick. Can you two explain kilohertz, because we have a lot of newbies that like watch this stuff. So like
okay, it's the sample rate that the gyroscope and the rest of the hardware runs at. So it's a faster sample rate. The faster that you can sample everything, the more updates from the gyroscope, the smoother and the faster the quadcopter reacts.
Okay.
So if there's like a weird vibration at like 12 kilohertz, it just like it can kind of sense that vibration and it can help tune that out. Like it just gets way more sensitive to everything when you're able to hit that. So that's why I'm excited for the F4, because there's not a big jump going from 1 hertz to 4 and then from 4 to 12. But if you can hit like 16 or 12 and you're going from 1, that's a big jump. That's like going from 3,500 loop time to 1,000, So I'm not super excited for any flight controllers right now besides the upcoming F4 boards. And I'm still kind of on wait and see to see how the development pans out.
Yeah. By the way, just for the new people, because we have a lot of new people, like the F3, F4 boards are going to be more expensive. Like when you're starting out, like a Naze board is perfectly fine. Like literally, it takes a while to actually even feel that that increase in sensitivity, because you're learning so much in the beginning.
There's truly. I mean, there's a lot of pilots out there that claim they can tell the difference between an F1 and an F3, and I call bullshit.
I call bullshit too.
I call it bullshit, because you really, I mean, the only
I
thing
just think they didn't have it tuned out right. Like if you tune it out right, it's gonna be fine.
That's my point. You can't feel the difference. Um, our sensitivity is not, what that guy told me once. He said, "You're not Superman, so don't try to figure it out."
But that being said, like I can honestly tell the difference instantly going from S-Bus to CPPM.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I have an S-Bus, like most of my rigs are S-Bus now, but I have a couple CPPM rigs, and it's night and day difference.
I've been trying really hard because I've been going back and forth to see if I can feel the difference, but like I don't fly near as much as both of you, and like it's like for how much I fly, I have to fly a lot to just even notice. But like, I'm just being honest. So like, because like I know a lot of people that go out and spend so much money on this, and it's like, dude, when you're learning, like, just get something that flies. You'll be fine.
Like,
yeah, like
I've
I think a
flown
lot of
out
people
at a mile and gone, oh, what was that? And turn around and come back, and when it gets back, it's the little light on the spectrum is blinking, the little red one. I lost it. I got a hold just way out there, just one. Oh, I got to turn around, come back.
Right.
That you'll it just, I guess you just get, where your copter's supposed to be at, and so that's how you regulate whether or not you're feeling the right thing. You know what I mean? I guess. You see what I'm saying?
For me, there's always like the maneuver that I do. It's because I can do a 180. Like my 180s are really tight, and if you're going full speed around an object, and if you're like going around a flag and you 180 around the flag, and you keep the flag in your view the entire time, that's when having S-Bus makes a big difference. When you're going full speed and you're like seriously at full speed, like if you're just floating around for everyday flying, you're not going to notice it. Like 90% of flyers won't notice it.
Now that's gonna now see. Look, now she gave me a challenge. Now I'm gonna go try that and crash about 40 times, maybe more.
Well, because like if they've done the math, if you're going like 60 miles an hour, and if you go and make a hard turn, that turn is going to happen 6 feet after you start making the turn.
Right.
Like there's an active difference. And so when you're trying to hold a really tight line through a race course and you're going really fast, that's when S-Bus helps. And honestly, I feel like more of a Jedi with it. Like like it just feels more locked in.
No, yeah, I think that's already been proven, like mathematically, that it is better. Do you use serial at all? Do you feel a difference between serial and like S-Bus and CPPM?
I feel like serial and S-Bus are pretty much on par. Yeah, like
okay.
See, that's where I'm using serial on my Spectrum.
Yeah, I use a lot of serial too because of satellite receivers, and like I do like those. I was just curious if you.
Well, yeah, actually, my first the Spider Hex that I donated to the AMA's museum that I won a race with.
Oh.
That was serial. That was a serial receiver. And
yeah, you didn't. Did you know that? Why she when she competed, she was the first female to compete and the first pilot to compete and win the first drone race.
Ah, okay. So hence
that quadcopter the ship that she was flying, they asked her to put that in the AMA museum, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Now that's a tough machine to give up. Yeah,
queen.
You are the queen. But Zoe, that
was not just my machine. It was also my goggles and transmitter.
Oh
wow,
man, that's a tough machine to give up. That's like when you build that. That's a lot of work. Yeah,
blood, sweat, and that baby.
Yeah, getting 6 motors to act in cooperation with each other. That's a lot of work.
And I had finally had that machine tuned out. Like I was running a 2200 mAh 4S 65C battery with 1806 motors with the 5x4 props.
Oh man!
And that thing was so freaking agile. I've still yet to fly a machine that has been as agile as that machine was.
Oh, Zoe, if I ever see you, I got a Spider Hex over here. You're totally gonna tune it for me. I'll beg you.
Yay! That's why I started. I mean, I still love the Spider Hex, and it kills me that I don't have a more active Spider Hex machine to fly. But then again, I've been doing the 3D stuff, and doing 6 motors instead of 4 motors is just more complicated for 3D. Because like getting 6 motors to spin down at the same time is just. Yep. I mean, that's why I started, like, my first 3D machine was a Spider Hex, and it was gorgeous. It was the most beautiful machine I've ever built. It weighed 260 grams without a battery.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
It was. I've got photos. It was the lightest weight Spider Hex that I could develop that would carry a 2200 mAh battery. And it had like a 10-to-1 or a 12-to-1 thrust to weight ratio, so it was like super peppy.
Yeah.
Wow. But the thing is, the ESCs weren't up to snuff, and so I broke 10 arms on it.
Snap.
So I had to retire it eventually because it just it was heartbreaking. It was so beautiful. But yeah, so I don't know exactly where I was going with that. Besides, Spider Hexes are cool.
Spider Hexes are cool.
So we talked kind of a little bit about speed controllers. We talked about flight controllers. We talked about motors. We talked about how your setup has progressed. No, we haven't. So, how has your setup progressed from the beginning to now? I mean, is it well, you know, the funny thing is it's hard because with clean flight changing all the time, you can't really base stuff on how something felt last year compared to this year, because I guess it's supposed to be, 30 or 40% more sensitive, right?
Right.
So what do you think? I mean, do you think that your setups
is it evolving?
Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
Getting smoother?
Oh yeah. The biggest thing, I had a breakthrough. I've had a few breakthroughs to set up on BL Heli and Betaflight. One of the things is that Boris was finally pressured into developing out 3D. So he ended up adding air mode for 3D, and he got rid of the negative pitch issue, which was, and you can see this in a lot of my videos, is that when I go inverted and I go to self-flight, there's a weird wobble. So he got rid of the wobble. And right now it's really super smooth. So Betaflight has progressed the 3D stuff because, at least within the flight control software, nobody had really touched the code base for the 3D stuff since it was in MultiWii. Like, I'm pretty sure that was like ported over from MultiWii to Baseflight, and then Baseflight had done really nothing with it, and then CleanFlight ported it over and did nothing with it, and then it really took, nailing down Boris and being like, hey, give me some love. Like, give me 3D air mode, please. And so that was a big deal. And then KISS, with their new flight controller, they've nailed 3D. Like, from setup to performance, it is ultra smooth. So on the flight control and just the hardware end, a lot of that is like advanced. And the active braking on ESCs has gotten a lot better. Like, we're seeing ESCs that can spin up to full power in the blink of an eye.
Right.
And that is a big deal for 3D because you need to have a speed controller that's able to really throw those motors around and get them down to a low position when you invert. So a lot has been done with that. So as far as that goes, I guess propellers are a big deal. Like, that's the biggest evolving thing right now. because 90% of my machines, I'm using regular bullnose propellers. There's nothing special to them.
So no more of the reversible HQs, or you're no longer using those, or you?
Well, it's the HQ props. No, the reversible HQ props are crap. Quite bluntly, they don't have any thrust. They're very lightweight, which is great because the heavier the prop, the more work your ESC and motor has to do to spin it down and go the opposite direction. So in theory, a lightweight prop works better. But there was just no real bite to it. So when you go to like punch out, it just felt like really weak. So GemFan now has their 5x3 props. I've been using those in 3D, and they're pretty good. And I should say there's a 3D GemFan 5x3s and not the normal 5x3s. They have a completely different shape that's customized for 3D. If you use those with like a 2700 kV motor or something that's really high kV, it works great. But if you go to a 6-inch option, the only 6-inch 3D propellers that I know of are from Gromper, and they cost like $10 for a pair of two of them.
Yes. But those are like really specialized for 3D, right?
They're developed exactly for 3D.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot of surface area, and they have not a super aggressive pitch, so they're easier to spin down and spin back up, but they don't put as much, I guess, resistance, like air resistance, when you are doing that. It's kind of hard to, it's difficult because when you're doing 3D, you want more torque, you want more pitch, but at the same time, you don't want something more aggressive because it changes the dynamics of the way the machine flies. And it adds more torque judder. I guess that's a word I'm going to announce to everybody. Torque judder. If you are flying 3D, there's something called torque judder. Judder. And that's what I've been talking about. Like the motors have to all spin down to one spot. If they can't do that at all at the same time, and if some of the motors are out of sync, your machine will like shake. And that's torque judder. At least that's what I've been calling it, because I don't think there's a lexicon for it yet.
Well, like 3D on quads is still, I mean, I don't think that market's really flushed out. People are still just trying to do just regular freestyle at this point. So kind of pioneering the way for 3D for quads, or multi-rotors, I should say, not really quads.
Yeah, quads.
Yeah, because you can 3D a tricopter, you know, I mean, you did it right. Just take a little bit
I
more
actually hadn't thought about it.
Now she has a new project.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that I mean, Zoe, that's one of the things that I've always said, is that the tricopter would be the ultimate 3D ship, you know, because it's inherent, the way it's shaped, you know.
Right.
I mean, the design, and I've said this before, inherently, a tricopter is a very agile ship. The design is very agile. I
don't think the tricopter gets enough love. Like, it's
I agree with you, sister. I agree.
Oh dear! Now you got him on a soapbox.
I agree. I believe the tricopter doesn't get enough love. You know, like in the beginning, the X frame didn't get a lot of love, but right now that's the most thing on fire right now, right?
Right.
So,
but it's what's popular right now. It's what people see something like, because like honestly, if you have a symmetrical frame, there's not a lot of difference if it's an H or an X. Like the amount of airflow over the arms is minutia difference. It's just a matter of how you're flying it. And I think like we had the H frames, and then the technology leap with like really low loop times and really good speed controllers came around. And then the X frames got popular because, well, I mean, Chad Nowak and Steele and
Chad, yeah.
I mean, they came in, they won some
Marketing.
competitions with an X frame. I mean,
exactly.
Right.
And so that's what people are stuck on right now, which I'm not to say it's bad. I mean, I love my X frames. I've got a XR 230 from Bullet Drones out of Japan. I love my X frame. And then the Twitch 109 is a pure X. But yeah, the tricopter doesn't get enough love. Neither does the hexacopter either, which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people just like even numbers. That's all I'm gonna say. Well, actually, hexacopter is an even number too.
Well,
Never mind.
quadcopter, I mean, it's like a flying car. That's the way I see it. People associate 4 with transportation.
That's actually kind of true. Yeah.
Volkswagen Bug.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you two because like you two go on forever about 3D. So like I'm gonna move this along. So Zoe,
No.
hey, you guys spent like 40 minutes already. So like.
But there's no information on it. Like if you try to find out like about 3D quadcopters,
actually
there's
that's
nothing.
very true. That is very true because
it's like no, everybody always wants to talk about a quad. Nobody wants to talk about 3D. Nobody wants to talk about true 3D. Right. Oh, look, I went inverted. I was inverted for like a second and a half. Wow.
Right. I mean, I'm hitting small air gates now, inverted, and doing inverted power loops. I've got a whole bunch of footage I haven't released yet, just because I've been in practice mode.
You stay in it, sister. You're. I'm watching. I'm learning too.
Good.
It's like I to me it's no stranger. I believe practice is key. I believe that there should be a mixture of simulator, actual flight time, and some thought process on prepping for doing, when I went to RC plane 3D school, right? You get you sign up for this class and they give you this little plane that kind of looks like a little Sequoia, and they show you practice, okay, I'm coming in from the left to the right, from right to left. As the ship is flying by, I add a little right, a little left to keep the ship stable. So they tell you to go through those processes so you mentally are thinking about this every time you fly. And what happens is, over time, your thumbs get much smoother because you start to anticipate that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes your flight becomes smoother. You look like you're in more control of the ship, less erratic movements. So I believe that there's a whole process to training, and there's a whole process for training 3D.
I agree. Oh yeah. I think really what it comes down to is our sport hasn't evolved yet to the point where people can consume, like 3D is like I think the next rung up for freestyle. And we just aren't there yet because like people are still being wowed just by what you can do with regular quads, right?
Right. So on the site,
pioneering the way, as they say. But
and I'm working on a series right now, a video series on how to 3D a machine.
Oh,
so,
awesome!
I'm hoping to teach people how to enable it with the KISS flight controller and ESCs coming up soon.
Totally.
I'll be doing a ZMR build that I just did recently that I'm going to 3D.
Nice.
And then I have the DL Heli pass-through programming. I'm going to show people how to set up the ESCs for 3D and how to calibrate the flight controller to have really smooth transitions between the throttle ranges.
That's awesome.
Because there's really not a lot of information out there. And I think it's going to take really cool stunts and showing what can be done, as well as availability of the information on how to do it.
Yeah. HD video, that's how it goes.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there right now, a lot of, great pilots out there that are doing some crazy stuff. Like the other day I saw some guy doing tap off a wall. He'd go into a turn and tap a wall and then fly off the wall in another direction. Those things are going to be the task or part of the courses of the future. I see.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
Right now, most of our tracks are on a horizontal basis, right?
Right.
And most of our flying and the agility, the skill is shown on a horizontal basis. But I believe that within the next couple of years, we'll start to see the track go from horizontal tracks to vertical tracks, where it'll be how fast you climb vertical through a tube.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those times are coming.
It's going to be really hard to set up. That's all I'm going to say. As an event organizer, that's really hard to set up. But okay, both of you off your soapboxes. I know, we'll go on forever on this. Yes, both of you. So, we talked. Well, we haven't talked extensively. We'll have to get you on another podcast just to talk purely about 3D setup. But what are you doing anything particular for just FPV racing at this point, or are you just concentrating fully on 3D?
Well, like I said, I've had issues with like travel to events and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But you're still actively looking and doing, right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm actively still flying and piloting and still doing proximity.
Mm-hmm.
It's still in my blood. Like, I just haven't done a race in a couple months is all, I guess. Like, there's the local ASL races haven't really started back up for the season, and a lot of local racing hasn't been getting going yet, so I'm looking forward to that coming up in the summer.
Okay, cool. Yep,
I know there's a few events I'm going to be going to. There's the local makers fair that I'm going to be doing a demo at and holding a small race.
Awesome.
And there's let's see, what was the other one?
California Cup.
When's that happening?
I forgot.
Okay, so while he looks that up, you've been in this sport a while. What do you like in terms of evolution? Do you like where it's going, where it's headed? Like, because it's moving fast and like there's I don't know.
So this is something I could talk at length about almost as much as 3D.
All right, 20. You got 20 minutes now.
Yes, 20 minutes. I only need 10. Let's see. So this is the whole sport as it's going right now. Like, a lot of money is starting to trickle into the production end of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I know Drone Nationals is going to be announcing. I don't know how much I can say, but I know they're going to be announcing like HD FPV for their upcoming event for Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
I know Hobby King leaked something on their website about HD FPV with zero latency. I like where that's going, but I've noticed a lot of these events, like, and I think Drone Nationals is going to be an invite only. So it's going to be who they let in through the gate, which is cool on the note that they're going to have a lot of really popular pilots there. But I feel like for a racing kind of community and like a sport community, we have to allow everyone into these events.
Yeah, I think what they're going to do, because I talked to Scott a little bit about it, is that they're going to have a qualifier right before Nationals. So if you're in New York, you can attempt to get in, which would probably be a tough crowd.
Right.
That's gonna be a fight, man.
Yeah. So.
I mean, like my focus right now has been freestyle, and there hasn't been a lot of like freestyle events. I mean, like, and I know at Drone Nationals, the freestyle event, at least in 2015, was supposed to be 4 like bouts. So you're supposed to go out for 1 round, come back, go out for another round. They cut it down to 1 round.
Yeah, they did.
3/4 of the freestyle competition was like cut out the door, and I was only focused on the freestyle end. Like, I was racing, but like my mind was in the freestyle part of it. Like,
yeah, okay.
I was focused on that. And then the ASL event that I went to recently, it had the same kind of issues where they tacked on the freestyle event, and that was judged line of sight. That was the other thing. And so, like, personally, I'm looking for, like, the really cool freestyle events. I'm hoping Drone Nationals gets it right this year with the freestyle event. I don't know if I'll be going back to it because I don't know if I'm invited to the freestyle event or not.
I would think you would be, but
I hope so.
I'm not gonna say anything. I don't want to get mad.
I would think everybody that was there last year has a opportunity to qualify.
I wouldn't think so, but I
don't know.
Not in the know.
I mean?
Yep.
I mean, I just want the
opportunity
to show off.
There was only 130 of us. Jesus, they act like it was 3,000.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, personally, for me, I've been disappointed because I've wanted to get more of a stage for freestyle, and I wanted to show off 3D, and I just haven't had the chance yet. And so, for me personally, it's been kind of frustrating trying to figure out what events I want to go to, and if it's even possible for me to get to some of these events.
That's the same problem I'm having, darling.
So, I just want to. I'll throw in my 2 cents because, like, we've talked about having freestyle competitions, and I this is my opinion as an event organizer. Although it's shared with a few other ones, I think the issue on why 3D freestyle events aren't more prevalent is we're having issues on how we can accurately judge them because, like me and Yvonne have talked about this in depth and in length. Is that if you aren't proficient in 3D or if you don't know what's going on when you're doing a trick, it's hard to judge people. And, like, you know, it's really easy to judge a race, right? First quad to go through a finish line. You know, there's no skill set involved in that. It's just the machine clocking. But now you need, like, 4 judges, 3 at least.
I think people have been overthinking that too much. I mean,
you might
there's been freestyle. I mean, X Games has freestyle competitions all the time.
Right, but that, like, there's more people in the know of what it is. I don't think we're there yet.
I mean, it's easy to see what a Superman is or a no-hand Superman. You know, I mean, it's easy to judge who does that well. You know what I mean? The guy that doesn't grab hold of the bike, we know what happens to him. You know, so but. For the freestyle right now, nobody. I mean, look at.
This is the thing. Like,
wait. That world drone, Mike Min Chan, right? His flight, right? His flight. There's some phenomenal stuff he did in that flight, right? And it's like, what the hell did he do, though? If you don't know what he was doing, you're like at loss. Like, there was a couple of times he did like some reverse flips, reverse 180s with a half twist, and he was doing a pyro flip with a quad. He was like half a move into a pyro flip and then out. But you couldn't tell that until you slowed it down. And then you could tell because he was flipping so fast, you couldn't.
And for me, as an event organizer, I know, Zoe, I know you don't want to hear it, but, like, I don't think I can put on an event and, like, get 3 judges to judge somebody. Like, unless we're just going by, like, you know, number of claps by the audience. You know, if you're okay with it.
Needs to go. Like, if you're going to do a freestyle event, do a freestyle battle. You have 2 pilots on the flight line, and you have them go trick to trick. You have an announcer being like, let's see what they can do. Bring on the double backflip. And you have a pilot go do like a 5 to 10 second quick run, and the next pilot tries to keep up the same energy. And it's
horse. Like,
I don't
3D
think
freestyle horse.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not a bad idea, but, like,
I just don't think anyone's really tried to flesh it out yet. Everyone's been so hyper-focused on racing and trying to get the racing figured out that they haven't put the mental energy and the, like, trying stuff out for freestyle because everyone wants to do races. Like, there's money being dropped into racing events.
Right.
There's a lot of big money. A lot of, like, I know 3 different TV projects right now that are trying to bring it to TV, right? And for them, it's an easy sell to say racing because everyone gets racing.
Right.
Freestyle hasn't been fleshed out yet. Like, and it's the same thing with like a lot of the X Games sports. Like, you had like motocross, and then you had freestyle motocross, and you had these like people doing crazy stunts on the back of these amazing machines. But all of those stunts, and it's the same thing with 3D helis. Like 3D helis, they have freestyle competitions. All of the stunts are judged based on the smoothness, the energy, the type of stunts they're doing. There's a long list of 3D heli stunts that have been accomplished, and you get judged based off of the complexity of those tricks, right?
Remember, sponsors, I have the skills to know.
Oh, look at this plug! Look at this plug! Zoe, you need a button to drop him into the Shark Tank. Push the button to drop him into the Shark Tank. Oh. All right.
But yeah, I know. I see it from the organizer standpoint because no one's really figured out the formula for freestyle yet.
Yeah, like, trust me, we do talk about it because we understand freestyle is really fun to watch, especially if you can like stream in HD. It's just like there's so much energy already involved in already organizing the event just for a race, and then you add on top of more complexity of a freestyle event. You're like, it's like sometimes your mind just goes like, can we just like. Yeah, we'll just like a little bit, and it's. Right. I know. I'm sorry, Zoe. We're trying.
No. Dude, that's something I've brought up with organizers before when they try to hold, like, for example, ASL. They had drone combat, they had a freestyle event, and they had racing all in one day. Okay, so that's like lot. The time. It was a lot. Like and the freestyle event ended up being like 30 minutes long. Because every pilot had one run.
That does suck, though, because freestyle is really fun to watch, especially if you have really good pilots.
Well, I guess that's the thing. Like, I think we need more dedicated freestyle events. Even if they're smaller, I think if they're done right.
Hey, Zoe, I'm just saying, multi-GP freestyle, that's in your future.
No, I mean, I'm thinking, because, like, multi-GP, they had... created the first outline of freestyle judging, and they had a really good criteria built out for the freestyle flying and judging it.
Right.
They submitted that to Drone Nationals last year in 2015. Somebody took what they had, gutted like 90% of it, kept like 10% of it, and they went with that. So, like, judging criteria, I think, is already kind of out there. Like, people have really started putting time and energy into it. It's just not something that's been done a lot of.
Right. Oh, it's tough.
I do my research. I just want you to understand that I'm doing research before I go judging people because I want to know who I'm judging and what they're capable of.
Right.
That's a really big point. Is you actually have to kind of know the pilots too, because every one of them has its own little quirky style that it may not be like the style or the trick that you think, but it's their own style of that trick.
Right.
And it's, I don't know. Zoe, you got me at a loss of that one. I don't have an answer for you on that.
I just have one message: don't give up on freestyle, people. Please do not give up on freestyle.
No, I don't think. I think right now, at this point, it's the key. The key is there. The door is there, but nobody wants to pick up the key and use it. Everybody's still trying to figure out how to make. Remember now, everybody's trying to figure out how to make money. That's the key right now, right?
And that's why racing is the easy go-to and why everyone's doing racing. Yeah. It's just an easy sell.
Yeah. Which, by the way, it's still really hard to make money on racing. Trust me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about like the event organizers that are trying to raise millions of dollars for their, business to try to run these things like IDRA.
And they all understand that that's not going to happen this year. They're putting money out now in preparation of what's going to be there 2 to 3 years from now.
Right.
True enough.
Right.
Everybody in this business, if you plan on coming in this business and dropping, $500,000 to $1 million on something, you better be looking at making your investment back in the next 5 to 10 years. And don't be thinking that you're going to make it this year because you're going to lose out.
True enough.
Yeah, no, the investing game right now is definitely on the long end. Like,
right.
The $1 million that was raised by DRL, that is such a drop in the bucket in the amount of money that these organizations need to push this to a full-scale sport.
Well, didn't DRL get like 3?
No, they got like a total of 8 because like they got a bunch of other investors. Yeah, they raised a lot of good money, but I
was gonna say even $8 million is still not that much in the grand scheme of things.
Mm-mm.
No, considering that some companies, are putting, $100 million into just investing in the protocols and avoidance software.
Right.
It's
just really interesting to see how it's all going because everyone now, we have the multi-GP Drone Nationals, and you have the Drone Nationals, you have the World Drone Prix, you have all of these,
all these
really,
things, yeah.
All these big names, it's becoming kind of like a word salad. And they're all trying to do the same thing.
Right.
At the end of the day, they're all trying to do the same exact thing. And the thing I think that I don't like about it the most is that it's going to create division within our small, tight-knit community.
It's already kind of done that, actually.
I think so.
It really has, but people have strong personalities. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to keep it neutral.
I can only wonder who you're talking about.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next subject. Next subject, chop. Okay, so really good conversation. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. Zoe, 2016, what are your plans? Where are you going to be? What are you doing?
3D, because I was inverted.
Because I was inverted.
Any events that you know for sure you're going to be at, people can see you?
I'm going to be at Drone Wars in San Francisco coming up. I think that's in July. I'll be at Maker Faire Santa Cruz. They can't talk about it yet, but there's possibly a TV thing that I'm going to be a part of in the coming months. And
awesome.
That's going to be happening in LA, and that's going to be a televised race.
Awesome.
Along with a couple other projects.
So you got plenty on your plate for 2016.
Yeah, actually, if anyone, this is a plea. If anyone has the ability or wants to be my talent manager to help me navigate all this shit, please contact me because I am such an introvert. Like I dealing with all these people and all social media.
What are you talking? You've just been doing an hour and a half of social media. Come on.
Yeah, you're good.
No, I've been spreading the gospel of 3D to you.
That's the same thing. Yeah.
You're good. You just need, you're good. You just people just need to pay a goddamn attention.
Maybe.
This is no okay, so here's something I want to say.
Uh-oh.
There's a lot of pilots out there. There's a lot of pilots with the talent, with the skill, with the knowledge to be in the top 1,000 pilots. Let's just say the top 1,000 pilots. There's a lot of pilots, but there's a lot of pilots that don't understand how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
how to tune, how to set up, how to converse and explain what's going on with the ships. And there's only a few people that have that skill. There's only a few people that have that talent. You have that, Zoe.
Aww.
And you know, I come from a different age or era where we were flying 3D helicopters, single rotor. Started off in that direction, right? And a lot of pilots today don't have the technical skills that you have because you went in that direction first. So that's why I said, you're a unique female, unique as being a female and unique as being a pilot, because you have the talent and the knowledge to back up the talent. So you can converse on all different levels with anybody that's in this market or in this field. You can talk technically about the design aspects of electronics and stuff like that. And people need to realize that there's a lot of pilots out there that don't have what you have. And
I want to stop you because you're making me blush. That's
why the camera doesn't work.
That's not the intent. That's not the intent, but that's my point. It's like a lot of people don't understand that there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and it takes a special kind of drive to continue to keep doing this,
True.
and don't just look at the run-of-the-mill pretty boy, kid around the corner kind of pilots. You got to look at the pilot all around. Like I've said this before. If I'm on a team, right? There's all these teams popping up all over the United States, all over the world.
These days,
right? But how many people on those teams are actually teammates? You know what I mean?
Right.
How many people on that team is actually working for the team and not just trying to express their own self and become the pilot? Like I've gone to a couple of races where there's a few pilots that you can immediately tell have ulterior motives. They're not really on a team. They are a team by themselves, and it's a team of individuals. And what I would like to be on is a team of teammates, where everybody's trying to do the same thing to bring the team forward, not one particular pilot.
Definitely.
Right.
But
I know you have that skill, and I know you're one of those people that I went to someone and I said, if I could pick a few people, there's one person I want on my team, and it's Zoe. And
Aww.
I said, because Zoe has not only the skills, but she has the knowledge and the talent to back it up. And you need that. Everybody needs to be able to help each other out and want to help each other out. And I appreciate that you've learned that, and you continue to display that every time you fly and every time you talk.
I think flight test is in my blood. Like, I honestly think if we do not share information, if we do not band together as a community, then none of us are going to benefit from all the awesome things that gives us. And I mean, I looked at like the motorcycle community, and my local motorcycle community was always really close knit. If somebody had an issue with their bike, we would talk to each other's friends, to figure out what was wrong and work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like that's the kind of thing that we need in the mini quad in the flying community, is that really let's help each other out spirit.
Yeah.
And thank you. I'm just like blushing still. I don't know how to respond.
Well, that's good. So yeah, we'll go ahead and start wrapping this up because we're already 40 minutes over. So your argument that you're introvert is rejected because we're already 40 minutes over. I'm sorry.
You got me talking about like the two things I love. Like, come on.
So where can we find you on the internet, Zoe?
You can find me at Zoe FPV on Instagram, Zoe FPV on YouTube, Zoe FPV everywhere. I have a website, hexanair.com, that has a lot of information, local flying spots, and Facebook, Zoe Stumbaugh on Facebook. My icon has a Zool that's inverted over my head, so if you want to find me, that's how you can find me.
Awesome.
And yeah.
All right, cool.
And she flies wings too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, no, I've got a TBS Caparina that I take out every once in a while. It's got a 4S setup. It's gotten up to 99 miles an hour, which is not too bad for a wing. I mean, they can go faster, but
that's still pretty good. Cool.
To my knowledge, it's one of the fastest Caparinas around. So.
She also likes speed. We figured this out towards the end of the podcast too.
Yeah.
She likes going fast.
My other plane is a Radjet Ultra, which goes 100 miles an hour out of the box, and you can't. It doesn't come with FPV, but I finagled FPV on it. It's pretty fun.
Nice.
There you go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for having me. It was fun.